Stay up to date with your trusted and relevant source in news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 9 o'clock, it's 18 degrees, mostly cloudy today, this afternoon, a high of 27, partly cloudy down to 13 tonight. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. Happening today, the remains of former President Jimmy Carter will be in the nation's capital.
I'm Jim Krasula at Dobbins Air Reserve Base, Georgia. Former President Jimmy Carter's body will be accompanied by his extended family and flown to Joint Base Andrews outside Washington, D.C. The Special Air Mission 39, in tribute to his 39th presidency, will be flown 2 hours to the nation's capital by the Presidential Airlift Group of the 89th Airlift Wing.
President Joe Biden set to deliver late President Carter's eulogy Thursday in the nation's capital. President-elect Donald Trump will also be in attendance. Here at home, a 19-year-old suspect shot during a struggle with Milwaukee police officers late Monday after the man pulled out a gun. Officers were speaking with the man who was wanted for sexual assault of a child at a home on the city's south side when the struggle ensued. Police Chief Jeffrey Norman.
While communicating with the suspect pulled out a firearm. A struggle ensued between two officers and a suspect over the firearm. One officer discharged his firearm, subsequently striking the suspect.
That suspect, now in custody, is expected to survive. The officer involved has been placed on administrative leave. An ice fisherman dies falling through the ice in Marquette County. Sheriffs arrived around 10 a.m. Monday to Lawrence Lake in Westfield to reports of the fisherman falling through the ice on a UTV. Despite rescue efforts, the man died. As a safety reminder, officers say to avoid going onto frozen lakes or rivers unless they have confirmed the ice is thick enough for safe activities. Meanwhile, a lack of meaningful snow on the ground once again hurting northern Wisconsin. Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Brian Niznansky tells Wisconsin's Morning News.
I know we really hammered on it last year, but they're off to another terrible start. Now, granted, it's been cold that they can do some ice fishing and stuff, but they've had less snow than we've had many parts of the state, like Wausau and Points North. And I'm not seeing anything major, even for the Northwoods here for a while.
The Wisconsin State Climatology Office says last winter was the warmest in the state since it began keeping records in 1895. Your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up in about 5 minutes. And big changes are coming to some of the world's most popular social networks.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has announced a raft of changes to Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Among them include replacing third-party fact-checkers with a community notes system, similar to how its competitor X operates. It's also removing certain content restrictions on topics like immigration and gender, which Zuckerberg says are out of touch with mainstream discourse. He also says the company's trust and safety team will move from California to Texas to help remove the concern that biased employees are overly censoring content. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update at this hour. Small gains for the Dow, up just 32 points at 42,739. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq in the red this morning, down 107 at 19,757, and the S&P 500 is off 11 points at 5,964. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are on the way next. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time coming up on 9:04.
The holiday season may be coming to a close, but there's still plenty of time to make it a magical one. Ring in the new year with something stunning and timeless from Diamonds Direct. Start the new year with a celebration of your love, or even a celebration of yourself. Whether you're shopping for the perfect wedding bands, a beautiful pair of diamond studs that were missing from under your tree, or the engagement ring of their dreams, Diamonds Direct has just what you're wishing for. This year, make your New Year's resolution to shop smarter by shopping direct. Making a decision on where to make your next jewelry purchase has never been easier. At Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed to get an extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and the white glove service that we've long been known for. Let the experts at Diamonds Direct show you the difference in a concierge luxury shopping experience. Kick off the new year the way you've always wanted. Customize your experience in-store or online at diamondsdirect.com today. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's like being trapped in a cage. And I know that sounds dramatic, but your breathing triangle problem has got you trapped. And once you're freed, you're going to be able to live the life that you're missing out on. Now, this can simply mean experiencing the true pleasure of breathing freely. It will mean better sleep and more energy. And the worry of this problem any more affecting your life is going to be gone. Because in almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it's a one and done. Because we're not in the business of delivering Band-Aids. We want to fix your nasal breathing problem for good. We don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Isn't it time you break free from that cage? Take the next step. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Bucks take care of the Raptors 128-104. Big night for Giannis, who needed 3 stitches to close a cut near the base of his right pinky during the game. He would return and finish off his 4th triple-double of the season. Next up for the Bucks, Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. That's coming up tomorrow. Wisconsin men's basketball now 12-3 following Monday's 75-63 win over Rutgers. Next up, Minnesota at the Kohl Center on Saturday. Badger Sports Updates are sponsored by Siding Unlimited. It's siding and a whole lot more. And tonight, 7th-ranked Marquette men's basketball faces 12-2 Georgetown at Fiserv Forum. Hear the game tonight on 94.5 ESPN. Let's check those roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We've got a number of incidents littered across the system right now. We'll start on 94 East at Hawley Road. That's where the right shoulder is blocked due to a crash. And we've got some slowdowns through the stadium at that point to about 27th Street. Elsewhere, got a separate crash on 43 South at the ramp from 8th and Keefe. The right shoulder blocked there as well. And we've got a few broken down vehicles scattered about as well. And on 94 North at Howard, the right shoulder there is also blocked due to a crash. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast for today. Expecting some clouds in the afternoon. We'll see a high around 27 degrees. Partly cloudy tonight and down to 13. Looking ahead to your Wednesday, it will be mostly cloudy to start the day, then with some sun filtering in. We'll see a few flurries possible as well with a high of 22, partly cloudy 28 on Thursday. Next chance for some light snow arrives on Friday with a high of 30, and we'll be back up to the freezing mark 32 on Saturday under partly cloudy skies. Right now in Madison, we've got clouds and 14, clouds in Green Bay and 16, Waukesha, partly cloudy and 12 above, and in Milwaukee, it's cloudy and 18 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:08.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
One of these days, I'm going to fix this microphone connection because it drives my headphone connection because it's driving me nuts. That has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. As I told you last week, I'm mixing things up in the new year, 2025, if you don't know it. And so I'll have some of the same guests, some will be different, but I will also mix up how they appear. And today, my friend Jeremy Janine from UrbanMilwaukee.com, great writer on local politics and more, joins me first on the program. First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy to be here.
Great to have you here. We always kind of go back and forth. You do all the heavy lifting. I say, yeah, I like this, I don't like this, and about things we're going to talk about. But this one's a good one because I spent a lot of the show yesterday with Matt Smith talking about the WEC investigation and what happened in Madison with these ballots that somehow weren't counted, right?
Yep.
Discovered, the clerk there is sort of, well, let's just say not. She's playing the game, but the game is not where I would like to see it as far as what are you doing so this doesn't happen. There was more, I felt too much pushback, but that's just my opinion.
There's a lot of questions there about the timeline. Who knew what, when, and why did it stretch out so long?
Messy. So you reminded me, Jeremy Janine, of 2020. I had completely forgotten about this, so take us back. November, what was the date of this story? You wrote it on November 24th, 2020. A story that I had completely forgotten about, but sort of echoes to the same thing.
And the reason you forgot is it happened in the midst of the recount when there was
all that.
Just a lot of chaos. But Milwaukee was guilty of this same thing of failing to count ballots. It was a slightly different circumstance given that it was the pandemic election, but there was almost double the number of ballots, 386, and they just were missing. The missing is the wrong phrasing there.
They were not counted.
That is absolutely correct. The day of the election, that ward on the far south side of Milwaukee reported lower than expected numbers. And so I kind of looked around when we got a report of all these wards and then what they had turned out in 2016, 2012. I'm like, whoa, that one and UWM wards were abnormalities. UWM you could explain, the students were virtual and all kinds of things like that.
Right.
But this south side ward, like, was there a big apartment building demolished or being renovated? No, nothing. I couldn't explain it. I made a note in an article like, hey, the turnout in this ward's down. Can't explain it.
It was double-digit drop.
Yeah, percentage drop.
Yeah.
Flash forward to the recount, and all of a sudden, Claire Woodall, then the chair of the Milwaukee Election Commission, had to say, oops, we found a sealed bag that 2 election workers had put in the bottom of a bin that ballots had never been counted, 386. Thankfully, because of the recount, they were counted. But these issues do happen. Madison doesn't use central count. Milwaukee does. But these are serious issues that, I mean, using the same process that I could flag, like, hey, this turnout was way down in this ward, seems like a common sense thing we need to use moving forward.
So this is what I think drives a lot of people crazy about elections, that you could have instances like this. And given the closeness of races now this wasn't going to change 2020 because this was, first of all, Milwaukee and an award that probably was not going to be won by Donald Trump.
No,
it's safe to say.
It was going to be a positive Biden margin.
Right. So, but throw that out. We can't have a situation then or now, in the case of Madison, where we have these, I think Claire Woodall vlog at the time attributed to worker error. That's a direct quote from your piece. We can't have that happen. There has to be some sort of cross-check or recounts of the people that showed up or submitted ballots in other ways. Absentee is one way to do that, or early, and our total. And to not have that done, I don't know, in the first day or two, seems like we are opening ourselves up, this is the op-ed part of this segment, to questions about elections, which then leads to all the hijinks and shenanigans and nonsense, for the most part, of what happened in post-2020. It just plays into that. We cannot have that happen. But this is the crazy part about this. We run elections in different ways in different communities. In states, they run completely. There are states that do ballot by mail. My goodness. All of their stuff. Or in different ways than we do here. And that's how the system is set up. We have states that are now trying to get away from technology and go back to paper ballots, which seems insane to me. But one wonders, Jeremy, big question, if at some point we don't have to sort this out and figure it out in a way that we don't have these things happening.
It seems like we're at a moment where national best practices, at minimum, would be very helpful just for confidence in elections across the board. Because we've seen these innocent mistakes, we've seen mischievous mistakes. You talked about paper ballots, meaning hand counting the ballots. Like, that's just insane. We have technology that we can trust, and we know we can trust it because we test it in the presence of all these different people. And then the paper ballots still exist. But yes, we need some type of standardization to really help this process.
And I'll use the Florida example. Bush Gore, 2000. We all know what that looked like with the hanging chads and that stupid picture of the guy who looks cross-eyed looking at that ballot. But they did something about it. They now, in a very populous state, have their results in like 3 or 4 hours, sometimes less than that, for the entire state, up to like 97% counted. And as far as I can tell, looking at Florida voting data, they're not making a lot of mistakes. So clearly a state can say to their constituents, their voters, their residents, and more importantly, when it comes to counting ballots, their poll workers and clerks, this is how it has to be done. And I guess the biggest question for me is, and I'm going to explore this in detail because I'm going to have some election clerks and some of the people who sort of look at the big numbers, the big data on this, on a special show sometime in the next month or two, why we are still doing it this way and why we are still facing these challenges. I have no idea what's going to happen in Madison. We know what happened here. They just counted the votes at some point, right? That's the ultimate outcome. But for voters in this country and in this state and in the community of Milwaukee, it's like, what are you doing here? And obviously we had the do-over that you reported brilliantly on election night.
Yeah, where we failed to lock the machines. Yeah.
Again, worker error or poll worker error, I don't care. It cannot happen. Jerry Majanine sitting alongside on the Tuesday edition of the Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ.
We've all heard of Larry Bird. Allow us to introduce Derry Bird.
It's A.J. Green splashing a three down from the right wing on the other end of the court. It's a one-point game.
Giannis back to A.J. A.J. going to try to answer. Off-balance three, and he hits it. How did he hit that one? The Derry Bird going deep into his bag of tricks there.
We're the home of Derry Bird and the Bucks, WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Annex Wealth Management. I love talking about Annex. Clear choice for 2025. Why? Clear thinking, advice, fee-only fiduciary. Those are some of the reasons. Hit the new year running with an investment retirement plan built by the fee-only fiduciaries at Annex Wealth Management. Knowing where you are, where you can go, it's important. Ditch the resolutions. Set actual goals. Head to annexwealth.com. I did this years ago and never looked back. Click the now famous Get Started button. Plus, Annex isn't going to push commission products at you. Annex makes it convenient, and they handle it every aspect of the way. Retirement investment planning, tax planning, estate planning, one stop, 8 convenient locations. You can do it in person, which I've done, right here at the Pfister, right down the street, Wisconsin Avenue, or virtual meetings via Zoom. We all remember what that's like. Well, it's a great way to talk to them if you can't get there. Annex will meet you on your way to retirement any way you desire. There's Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. There's a significant difference, trust me on that one, between financial advisors. Work with a fee-only fiduciary. Know the difference. Start at annexwealth.com.
If you're looking to build or remodel, then check out the 2025 Metropolitan Builders Association Home Building and Remodeling Show, presented by Nuns, January 10th through the 12th at State Fair Park. Learn about the latest home building and remodeling trends from over 150 MBA industry experts. For more information and tickets, visit mbahomeshow.com. If building and remodeling is on your to-do list in 2025, then don't miss the MBA Home Building and Remodeling Show this weekend at State Fair Park.
Urban Milwaukee's Jeremy Janine in studio with me on this Tuesday as we launch forward into the news of the day. Mainly focused on politics, although Kristen, Brian, and I will stretch that definition a little bit later in the program. Kristen will join me after the bottom of the hour news. For you young kids out there, that's 9:30. You ever use the term bottom of the hour, top of the hour?
I do, and I get a kick out of you always having to explain it.
I'd love to. It's part of it. It's being an old person, but using phrases and you realize about 5 seconds later that the young person you're talking has no idea what you're talking about. Like, what are you actually talking about? What do you mean by that?
We don't see the analog clock with the context clue.
Here's the funny thing. The beautiful Chevy Silverado that I'm going to be talking about later when I talk about Heiser, I actually put the analog clock on the display. I love seeing the clock face.
You used a digital analog clock, not like taped an analog clock.
No. I have a digital analog clock with the hands and the seconds.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, no.
So I'm sort of embracing both.
Keeps the brain active.
Absolutely. All right. We, on this station, I have not spent a lot of time on this, but is it safe to call them microbreweries?
Craft breweries.
Craft breweries. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and you, as we are exchanging ideas, mostly you exchanging your ideas, and I'm saying, yes, that's a good idea, and that's a bad idea. I don't think I said bad idea, but I said
you just ignore them.
Yeah, I ignore the ones I don't like, which is sort of the behind the scenes of the show. Some more recent developments on the craft brewery side of things in Milwaukee, which is last time I checked is still Brew City.
It's still Brew City. Beer and politics always mix really well, unless your friends are jerks, and then they shouldn't be your friends anyways. We talked about briefly previously, Enlightened was closing after a 10-year run, and you really hammered on like 10 years is impressive to make it as a business. Enlightened closure, which happened just this weekend, followed Company Brewing, Mob Craft Brewing. So there's just kind of this wave happening in 2024, and we're going, what's happening here? Well, then, since the last time I've been on, City Lights announced it was closing. It just closed over the weekend. And Good City Brewing, which has 4 locations, is being sold. So we're seeing the seismic shift in what's happening in craft brewing.
So what is this saying to us as consumers, as residents, and people who enjoy sort of that craft brewery side of things, entertainment, and just good old beer. What is it suggesting to you as a reporter? What does it say about our city? What does it say about that industry?
Well, the two things I take away from it. One, people are simply just drinking less craft beer, and they're drinking it in different ways than they did pre-pandemic, just as kind of a benchmark in time.
Okay, go deeper on that.
There's all these CBD seltzers out there. That's taking more of the market.
Big. I've seen a lot of people drinking those.
There's the kind of the White Claw universe. There's just a change in where people are drinking, and if you're a brewery, you make a lot more money if someone comes to your tap room and drinks your beer on premise than if they go to Sendik's and pull it off the shelf.
So for those craft breweries that are still going to be operating, is this a sort of a reminder, which I think all small businesses have to always realize, even big businesses, that you have to evolve with your customer base? You have to always try to evolve your company. Is this that sort of not so subtle reminder that needs to happen?
It's definitely that. It also proves how much craft brewing, not just from the recipes of beer, but from the actual business of beer, is at its core, a math game of figuring out, okay, where can I make the money? Where actually are the customers? We saw Good City had this plan. Their business was all oriented towards, let's get our beer on shelves, let's get it in different locations. Well, all of a sudden, they ended up running this tap room business that the owners, in an interview with Sophie Bullock that we published, they said, that's not really what we're good. We're not brew pub people. We had this different business plan. All of a sudden, the market moved on us. And it's a little bit like turning the Titanic if you've invested in canning lines and all these different things to shift where and how you're selling your beer.
Any idea on the number of craft breweries we have in town?
I don't have a good number. The one thing I was told before Good City and City Lights closed, when Enlighten was announced by another brewer in town, was every time one brewery closes, two more open. And they had studied that. That trend is clearly broken now. We're clearly seeing contraction. Now, whether that's sustained contraction or we'll just wait for something to happen. The other point I noticed delves into this, it's interest rates. A lot of these breweries rely on debt for all that fancy, shiny brewing equipment you see. They're floating rate loans. So you hear about high interest rates, that means that brewery's paying more to service that debt.
Well, the next president of the United States has promised he'll fix that problem, that interest rate problem. So we'll see if that helps the local brewers. You're a younger guy, especially compared to this older guy. Is there a way for beer producers, large and small, and we've certainly seen that market change because Modelo, I think, is the number one beer in America now, where we wouldn't say that 5 years ago or 10 years ago, to increase demand, because people are consuming alcohol in a much, much different way. I was a bartender for about 15 years in my younger days, when I was your age, to use an oft-used phrase. And people sat in a bar for a long period of time. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. So is there a way to sort of evolve that part of the equation?
I think it's matching the product you produce as a brewery with where people produce it. So creating a great taproom experience, but also looking at a place like Enlighten, which was really big, making sure that experience, that overhead you have is the right size. You're not too big, creating an intimate experience and really differentiating yourself.
Well, I had gone back to a Broken Bat Brewery recently, and I thought it was interesting. They combined the wiffle ball world with a really cool concept of having your beer in a big room. I thought that was sort of interesting, sort of evolving the story.
Yeah, when you think about it, like, what are the breweries you like to go to? They're the ones that are differentiated. Wiffle ball, Broken Bat, great example. Amorphic, all about science, small, intimate space, nice chalkboard for your 3-year-old daughter to play with.
Right.
But, I mean, those are all key things of, like, why you go back to a place over and over again. Maybe you join a wiffle ball league. Maybe you just like baseball-themed beers. Or you like, hey, they have a great patio setups. I can sit and watch baseball games all afternoon.
Texter asks, and it's a fair question, are there too many craft breweries?
I think right now we're not at too many. We're just that they're not differentiating themselves enough from one another. So when the tide drops, we're seeing who's swimming naked.
I love the term, nice. I love the term differentiate because it does. You need to stand out. Any business, whether it's Walmart or Target or Kohl's locally, you have to stand out in some way that makes people want to go there. And I think Kohl's is learning that reality in a pretty harsh way. People have evolved their shopping habits. You better figure that out, although you're not going to last. Jeremy Janine, urbanmilwaukee.com is where you can find his great work. They cover a lot of great stories, a lot of great industries and business news in Milwaukee. And beyond that, you do some culture stuff too? You do, right?
We have Sophie Bullock writing about all things food, drinks, culture. It's wonderful.
Texas says, Ope Brewery, OPE Brewery in West Dallas is awesome.
Yes, wonderful. Great example of differentiation. Really awesome space.
And thanks to the texters today, St. Francis Brewery in St. Francis reopening.
Coming back.
Closed for 5 years. So maybe the news isn't that bad. Jerry and Janine, we're going to talk about MCTS, the bus transit system, after this break on 620 WTMJ.
We get it. You're on the go, and life gets in the way. Stay up to date on all things WTMJ with podcasts of every show. Available on WTMJ.com. And don't forget you can stream WTMJ online and watch your favorite WTMJ shows on YouTube. Every show, when you want it, no matter where you are. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ.
So how do you underpromise and still get the job? We believe in our hearts we're going to do great work for you. We're just really careful about making unrealistic promises. At Semper Fi, we refuse to set the bar higher than we can jump. But be assured, that's the goal. To do all we can to jump as high as possible to try to exceed your expectations. We're looking to break records. That's how you win over customers, get really great referrals, and build a great business. When you're making a decision to hire an exterior remodeling company, character, integrity, and the feeling that the people you're about to hire are truly eager to show you how good they are should stand at the top of your list. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak & Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak & Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Market Watcher Brian Wickert. Well, a lot of folks have buying a home on their New Year's resolution list, and while national news headlines talk about the inventory of homes for sale being a lot higher this year, I'm afraid that's just not the case in most of Wisconsin. So how do you make your offer stand out from the others so that someone else doesn't end up sleeping in your dream home? Well, it takes a team of a good real estate agent and a mortgage lender who has all the tools and techniques to help make your offer as attractive as possible in the eyes of that seller. Sure, you can go with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, or you can present your offer with an AccuNet, rock-solid, fully verified, and guaranteed pre-approval that might also come with the phrase that really makes sellers happy: no appraisal required. We'll also help you understand exactly what it means in dollars and cents if you do decide to offer over asking or give that seller some appraisal wiggle room. All you have to do to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval is click on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much.
Jerry and Janine, outstanding writer at UrbanMilwaukee.com in Milwaukee. Let's talk MCTS before you get out of here. I love the content today. It's sort of all the things that we're buzzing about. Elections, obviously with the certification yesterday in Washington, D.C., and the upcoming inauguration and some of the discrepancies we've seen here. And we certainly love to talk about beer in Milwaukee. This one has to do with the transit system, the buses, and some issues with leadership.
Yeah, we're not. To set the stage, Denise Wonke just retired after 30 years with the system. She was the head of the system. You say, okay, that sounds like a good career. And by and large, it was a good career.
Yeah, job well done.
But she is now the second director of the system in 3 years to retire under these weird circumstances. She went on a leave of absence in the fall, and she told Graham Kilmarter of Milwaukee, who covers county government for us, I'll be back, just a health thing. Then she retires, and there's no comment about the health thing anymore. And okay, I mean, health is a complicated thing. It changes for people. And Denise had a career where she actually rose through the ranks as a bus driver and went into management after 10 years driving the bus, and it grew up through the system. Her predecessor, Dan Boehm, had a similar arc. He didn't start as a bus driver, started as a planner. And he also had this weird end of his tenure leave of absence. No one would explain why. Sometimes there's things media members get told off the record, and they help add context that don't show up in the story. I can tell you that's not happening in either of these cases.
Why do you think that is?
The thing I'm unpacking here, and it's something I used to be on this group called the Transit Services Advisory Committee to the county, and I raised the issue, this is like a decade ago now, that MCTS has what UW-Madison calls intellectual inbreeding, where people just keep coming up through the system, which is in some cases a good thing in the government. You have all this systematic knowledge that works its way up. But at MCTS, we now have continually internal people that just end in a cloud of uncertainty, and I think it's time for a cultural reset with someone from outside the agency.
You know, and I know people say, I don't care about MCTS, but a hell of a lot of people do, because it gets them to work, gets them around the town. Not everybody drives cars, and in an era and a time where that could be even more critical for people to get to jobs, because I know employers need people to work. This is a big part of that. We'll talk to you next week. Jeremy and Janine, they can find your great work at urbanmilwaukee.com. Always appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
All right, after the bottom of the hour news break, 9:30 for you kids out there, we're gonna have local news and the latest now. Kristen Bry's going to join us. Here's the latest now from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Facebook and Instagram owner Meta saying Tuesday that it's scrapping its third-party fact-checking program and replacing it with a community notes program written by users, similar to the model used by Elon Musk's social media platform X. A strong earthquake in Tibet has killed at least 126 people and damaged hundreds of homes. Dozens of aftershocks have struck the region about 50 miles away from Mount Everest. Strong winds in Southern California could hit hurricane strength and spur wildfires.
This is forecast to be the most extreme wind event in Southern California, particularly in LA County, since 2011. And here's what makes it so dangerous. The National Weather Service is predicting winds of up to 100 miles per hour through most of LA County. They're predicting many toppled trees, power outages, flipped over big rigs, mobile homes, trailers, long lines at airports.
That's ABC's Matt Gutman in Southern California. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:31. I'm Adam Roberts. A 19-year-old suspect shot during a struggle with Milwaukee police officers is now in custody. Officers speaking with the man at a home near 7th and Arthur, who was wanted for sexual assault of a child. A struggle then ensued. The man pulled out a gun and was shot by a 35-year-old officer. The suspect in custody expected to survive. The officer is on administrative leave. The FBI is joining the search for an armed and dangerous man wanted in connection to 3 deaths at a home in New Lisbon. Authorities believe Virgil Thu may have left the western Wisconsin area, his last confirmed location just outside of New Lisbon on New Year's Day. The woman found dead in the home identified as Thu's 33-year-old girlfriend, Elizabeth Kolba. 2 other girls found dead were 12 and 13 years old. And logging dangers in Chippewa Falls leading to trail and road closures. The Parks Department closing all the trails and roads leading to the north end of Irvine Park as forestry staff remove a large number of dead and dying trees. You can view maps of the trail closures online at WTMJ.com. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow modest gains still this morning, up 88 points at 42,795. The Nasdaq down 176 at 19,689, and the S&P 500 is off 17 points at 5,958. Financial planning at every level: Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. Monitoring a few of those earlier incidents from this morning. Most of the delays have cleared up from an earlier crash at 94 East at Hawley that was blocking the right shoulder. We've still got that crash being worked on 43 South, the ramp at Keefe. And then also that crash from earlier this morning on 94 North at Howard appears to be largely taken care of. Overall, we are delay-free this morning. Just a little slow on 43 South past Fond du Lac Avenue heading towards the Marquette. Everywhere else is looking pretty good. In your WTMJ forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, a high of 27, down to 13 tonight. Some flurries possible for your Wednesday, and 22, partly cloudy, 28 on Thursday. Next chance for some light snow arrives Friday. It'll be mostly cloudy and 30, partly cloudy Saturday with a high of 32 degrees. Right now in Milwaukee, some filtered sun through the clouds and 19. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:34.
Hey, Wisconsin, WTMJ's Greg Matzik here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, where the New Year's sale is on. Hey, is there a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC in your future? Connect with Holiday and find one that's right for you. Stack it with their low, simplified price, get more for your trade, then pair it all up with the season's best offers. Ready to take the roads this winter with confidence. Another great option, check out a GM-certified pre-owned model. Enjoy the peace of mind benefits like 2 factory-backed warranties, scheduled maintenance, courtesy transportation, and roadside assistance all included. Driving a GM certified vehicle from Holiday is a no-brainer. I know you'll appreciate Team Holiday's welcoming, friendly, and genuine guest care. It's the stuff that delights and makes fans of drivers from all over. Fans like me and thousands of others who drive Holiday, Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true, but offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works. Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Oh, just having some fun hanging out with my teammate, Kristen Bry. And we'll get to this a little bit later. We're going to be podcasting. It all starts, I think, next week is the official.
So we have some stuff to do today in finalizing the foundation of it. Maybe get some promos out.
Yeah,
but
what do they
we're
call
gonna
that pre-podcast work?
Pre-production?
Pre-production, yes. Looking
Movie
forward
terms?
to it. And I will tell you right now, this is a podcast you want to listen to. Even if you're not a podcast, we're going to make it so, can I say frickin' on the air, frickin' easy for you to find it? Even for you folks that barely can click to a website.
We're going to set up a talk to text line. So you just text listen. It's not set up yet, but we're going to text listen, and then you'll be able to get the latest episode. We're going to make it so easy for you.
You Need to Listen is the name of the podcast. And this was a multi-meeting, many weeks conversation about what to call it. And we crafted
It's hard to name things.
It is hard. And, we realized, so here we are talking about the podcast, and we weren't going to start with that. But all the good names are taken. So it's,
well, there's also a lot of podcasts out there.
Yeah, there are too many.
And so there's a lot of certainly certain podcasts that were started and abandoned, but they still kind of have the name. So you take the name. But yeah, there's a lot of repeats too.
And I chose the name. We chose the name because we think you need to listen to this, because in this era of divisive, divided politics, left, right, liberal, conservative, this is
young,
old. Male, female.
Yep.
I mean, all the obvious stuff between you and I. Let's sort of dissect some of these stories. And I think it's a blend of politics and culture.
I think so too.
With a little technology, AI, social media thrown in, because I have a lot to say.
Zeitgeist.
Yes.
It's a zeitgeist.
I wonder who created that word first. I love that word.
You want the etymology of zeitgeist?
Yeah, can you look that up for me?
Jazz, look it up.
All right, we're not talking about. We'll get back to the podcast. And for the folks who say you should have more fun on the show, I'm actually going to do something today that I haven't done in a long time.
Does a lot of people tell you to have more fun on the show?
Yeah, including my wife.
Does she listen?
Not as much as she used to. Well, it was 3 hours before. She's got a lot of things she's
I know. That's the thing about having a midday show.
Yeah.
People are busy.
They're doing things. But we're changing that dynamic, and we'll start with the podcast. Yesterday was a big day in Washington, D.C.
Certainly.
Certification of the election results. Vice President Kamala Harris, the loser in the election, along with her vice presidential choice, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. Well, she presides over this process.
We haven't seen, it's been, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been since Al Gore lost to George W.
Yeah.
That was the last vice president who had to preside over a certification process after losing the election.
Now, I watched some of this yesterday. There's always some awkwardness, people fumbling around and, all of that going on. But there was a particular exchange which you highlighted to me, and I did see it later in the evening, where a husband...
Not even the actual representative or senator,
senator,
a husband of...
A woman senator, her husband, elderly gentleman.
It's Deb Fisher, Senator Deb Fisher.
Yes.
Her husband, Bruce.
Apparently didn't want to shake the hand. It was presented pretty clearly. I watched the video of Vice President Kamala Harris, loser in the election.
And she said, I looked it up later. I guess she also said, she's like, I don't bite.
Yes.
So she called it out.
It was picked up. Yes, it was.
And no, just didn't want to shake her hand.
Which led you, and now me, to consider the reasoning behind that, because the sleuth that you are when you're not on the air, you went back and looked at the time.
I found it on the internet.
You found it.
Delivered it to me, but that he certainly did shake Mike Pence's hand 4 years ago.
Yes, and one of the claims was, does he use a cane apparently? And
I
that
didn't
was
see
the
a cane
reason
in that
why.
video.
Yeah, I didn't either. And he looked like he could handle
Because I thought he was holding a Bible.
I don't know if he was holding it, but somebody was. So, which brings us to why.
Well, and I think what's frustrating is because I think she, whether you like her or not, whether you voted for her or not, I think she conducted herself with a lot of class yesterday, right? I mean, what else are you going to do? Throw a fit? But regardless, obviously.
She had a sense of humor at times. She was serious at times.
Yeah, I think she handled yesterday fabulously. And it's not, and this is the thing, it's not even like he's, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene or it's one of these people that we're used to wanting the limelight or wanting to make news in some way. He's not even the senator. He now has overshadowed his wife's moment by I'm sure maybe he didn't intend to do this, but as far as you're here as a second fiddle to her, let her shine. What are you doing?
You and I were talking before we went on the air, and I said, there's a lot of things being thrown out. Racism, maybe. How about this? Hatred of the other side to such an extreme that you can't shake the hand of the person who represents or represented that party in the last election.
I think I watched that video and I think it was more of that. And also hatred of her, right? If you think about, I was thinking about this a lot. This is bringing some pop culture into it. Have you at all been paying attention to this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni
a little bit
chaos?
Yeah.
It's hard not to, right?
Oh,
It's big news. It's like the Spider-Man. Everyone's suing everyone.
Yeah. Sexual harassment.
But there is so much PR campaigns of making them both look terrible. We saw the same thing with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And what is, I think, the bigger story beyond whatever spat these guys have is the power of PR campaigns, right? The PR to influence our feelings about people. And this is political campaigns in a nutshell, right? Because I know people were comparing the slander against Blake Lively to what happened to Kamala Harris. And I took that argument. I was like, that's political campaigns every single year as you make the other person look as bad as possible. But there's some people who I think consume that and believe it about the person instead of having some distance from it and saying, I'm still not going to vote for this person, but I know this is also part of the game. And maybe he just hates her.
Maybe he does. And we're never probably going to find out if it's there's some racist behavior here. I don't know, and I'm not going to presume. But here's the deal. You're a grown-up.
Yes.
You're there with your spouse, who, by the way, is being sworn in as a U.S. Senator, Deb Fischer. Act like a grown-up. Shake the person's hand. And if you're such a coward or a weakling that you are so intimidated by a woman who is actually running for the highest office, a black woman, that you can't do that, that's about you and nothing to do with her. So grow the hell up.
I agree.
It's ridiculous. We'll take a break. Kristen Bride joining us for the next 20 minutes or so, a little bit less, on the Political Power Hour Tuesday edition right here on 620 WTMJ.
The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. Can't leave him alone for a 12.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Advent. You know I've talked about it. I was a customer. I've told you this before I ever was a spokesperson. I snored. My wife Kathy and I were just talking about this, how I used to snore constantly, excessively, loudly. I did something. I went to Advent, talked to their docs, 2 docs on my first visit. 30 minutes. They added in a simple sleep study at home in my own bed. Figured out what my problem was: sinuses and nasal passages, breathing triangle. I say on the promo that I run that runs on the station. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, to be honest. But they did something about it. Short procedure, one of their offices. I'm talking 20 to 30 minutes. I'm back to breathing better than ever. But more importantly, and this is a big one, and everyone always asks me about this, sleeping through the whole night uninterrupted. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Avid can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to avidknows.com, schedule an appointment today. Someone asked me about this at a restaurant on Saturday here in Milwaukee. Advent. They know when you breathe well, you live better.
A Blaine's Farm and Fleet original story.
These are going to be the best pancakes ever.
Let's see. Griddle, mixing bowls, and birdseed.
For the world's first pancake bird feeder snowman. Ta-da!
For home-cooked breakfasts, special bird feeders, and more, we've got the value you need to do things your way. Like Blaine's brand suet cakes, 99 cents for rewards members. Plus, rewards members get free same-day delivery on pet orders of $49 or more. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Guess what? I was right. My hearing's not great. Went for a hearing test at Vita Hearing Care. They're gentle. They're smart. They walked me through everything. I've got hearing loss. My wife, Michelle, was there, and guess what? They're going to help me. They're a local family-owned company with 2 locations, and Mount Pleasant and Waterford. The test was easy. My life's going to be better. You should get tested if you think you might need it or have a loved one. That's VitaHearingCare.com, V-I-T-A, Vita. The teams I trust, Jeff and Cynthia, and their compassionate teams will help you like they're helping me. That's Vita.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlawns.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands. New Year's resolution, finally do something about that old garage door. Vince Vitrano for Lifetime Door Company. Time to give the biggest door to your home the look, style, and function it demands. Our holiday guests, first thing they say when they walk in, wow, that new garage door looks really nice. Lifetime also installed a new opener. So quiet, LED lights, camera equipped. You can even run it from an app on your phone. To help fit your budget, through January, tell them Vinny sent you. They'll knock 5% off the total purchase on all service and installation. Get started at lifetimedoor.net.
Oh, love all the Texers. Apparently now, because I was made famous by the term that I shut the hell up. That was my term.
You made that up.
Yeah, well, I did for me on my show, my old show. Grow the hell up might be my new edition of that in 2025. Grow the hell up.
I like that.
Yeah, so thanks to Texter for recognizing that. You can tell it's a loyal listener. A lot of people on the cane thing. I don't care if you need a cane. You can shake someone's hand. You put the cane in the other hand, you shake the person's hand, and then you grab the cane back. Seriously, is that the argument we're going to make? Again, grow the hell up, Texter. All right. My awesome producer, Jaslyn, has found the origin story of the term zeitgeist.
So, according to Wikipedia, in 18th and 19th century German philosophy, a zeitgeist, literally spirit of the age, is an invisible agent, force, or daemon dominating the characteristics of a given epoch in world history.
I feel like that muddied the waters.
I was going to say, I feel like that has nothing to do with how we, because now it's basically like the current events and like cultural like phenomenons of the day of like.
That is what spirit of the age means.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the language changes, it evolves, and it's certainly evolving faster than ever. All right.
But then there's people like you who make shut the hell up.
When I say bottom of the hour, you know what that term means, but do you think a lot of youngsters,
because they don't have actual clocks?
Yeah, do you think they know what? I'm just curious.
That's actually a really good question to ask some of our younger like ESPN teammates.
Yeah.
Like, when I say bottom of the hour, do you know what that means? Maybe that's a good social media video.
Yes, which we'll work on. And I was telling Jeremy Janine, who was in earlier, I've put the digital analog display on my truck, my Chevy Silverado from Heiser Automotive, so that I can have an actual clock instead of the digital display. That's how much I love the actual face of the clock.
Okay.
I think it's cool. Anyway, real quick, because I want to take a break and we're going to do some fun stuff in the last segment, talk about our podcast, all of that. We are now certified, heading to the inauguration. It's sort of, there's this other, I shouldn't diminish it. We have the former president, Jimmy Carter, all of the services and the honorariums and all those things are happening almost at the same time as these final weeks of the transition. It's sort of a weird dynamic, but I wanted to get a sense from you, because you've talked about this sometimes with me, on where you think this administration is going week 1 and 2. Just give me a sense of what Bill McCoshen said, shock and awe, on this program a couple times.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you think it's going to be like that?
Do you not?
I'm not sure because I'm sort of a big fan of Susie Wiles, who's sort of running a show in the White House. She doesn't want crazy.
I guess that's true. I did hear something along the lines of over the holidays, the internal MAGA fight. Did you talk about this at all with the Laura Loomers and Elon Musk and Vivek and the H-1B visas and all of the drama that was happening over that, which I think is actually a fascinating conversation and has a lot of layers to it. So maybe that's a podcast episode. But apparently with all of that fighting that was happening, Susie Wiles came out and was like, everyone was grounded. Like if you don't stop posting on social media, you're not getting a position in this administration. Like he doesn't want to answer these questions. This is nonsense. Shut it down.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Just come in and who's in charge? So maybe she will be the adult in the room.
I say this because I think this may be sort of the one carrot for all those folks who don't like Donald Trump. At some point, you have to run a country, and you can't just throw every process, every infrastructure piece of our government away like it's garbage. There are certain things that we treasure and we think are unique about this country that we should hold on to. But I love the fact that a woman, smart woman, Susie Wiles, obviously conservative, obviously very close to Donald Trump, is basically saying what I just said, in which the texter pointed out. Grow the hell up, Elon Musk. Some of these other knuckleheads, Vivek Ramaswamy, grow the hell up. This is a big job. Do the job.
Don't fight with Laura Loomer on Twitter or X.
Laura Loomer is so far past her 15 minutes. Are you kidding me? Go away. All right, Kristen Bry, we're going to play a funny clip. Has nothing to do with politics, just because I want to. Kristen Bry joining me from Spanning the States and the soon-to-be-heard You Need to Listen podcast. Do that after this.
It's my nature to be fearless.
Gruber Law Offices presents Thanalysis.
One day it's all gonna end. What am I scared of?
A podcast from Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
I've airball, free throws. I've turned the ball over. I've missed game-winning shots.
Also supported by Carbless, premium ready-to-drink cocktails.
I don't care, man. I only live once. Can't go back.
And Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee.
There's nothing for me to fear.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. I was just talking about Heiser. I love talking about Heiser. Chevy Silverado, my cool analog clock that I have on a digital version of an analog clock, I should say. 2023 Chevy Silverado, pre-owned. Got about 8,000 miles on it. I absolutely love this vehicle. Love the truck. I love trucks, but I was a Ford guy, which you can also find at Heiser. All their pre-owned new vehicles available at Heiser.com or 5 great locations. What's to love about the Chevy Silverado? What's a great brand, great model, right? Mine's a really cool glacier blue, easy to find in a parking lot, by the way. All the cool things you want, all the technology, great towing capacity, payloads big enough for all those jobs where you're throwing something in the back, taking it to the dump, taking it some, moving a piece of furniture, whatever you need, all there for you. How can you find those vehicles? Just go to Heiser.com. Pre-owned, new. You can order a vehicle to your liking, your style, your technology, all available for you. That's why they say every day at Heiser. I love this. Today's your day.
Get a new Tempur-Pedic mattress at Steinhafels and save up to $300. Add an adjustable base and save up to $500. Use Steinhafels 60-month financing and get a queen Tempur-Pedic mattress for just $48 per month. Shop in-store or online at steinhafels.com.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. So I was looking at some of the bushes that have overgrown on my property, and I love our yard, but I need dormant pruning. That's what takes place during the winter when it's safe to cut back things so you have healthier trees and bushes around your house. Check right now to see if you've got stuff scraping against the siding or needs to be cut back, and schedule it now. Design Build landscaping projects are a year-round topic. Landworks Wisconsin does it the right way every time. They help people achieve their outdoor dreams by creating beautiful landscapes. I love these guys. LandworksWisconsin.com. Check them out today.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
I went to the Yankee game once, World Series. So I'm at the game with Lorne Michaels and with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's the coolest guy. Again, one of those guys where his voice is his voice. It's like, you're you. He's Jack Nicholson. He's Jack Nicholson. So we order a hot dog and a beer, and I get Cracker Jack. I'm eating Cracker Jacks. And he looks at me, he's got a sunglasses, and he goes, "Did you get the prize yet?" And I go, I swear to God, I open up the prize. It's a sticker. It's a picture of a snake. He goes, "You know, when I was a kid, we used to get metal things like tin whistles, stuff like that." Then, without even looking at me, he's looking out at the game. He goes, "Now you get a picture of a f***ing snake."
I think that's so funny. One, great Jack Nicholson impersonation, but it sounds like something Jack Nicholson is saying. And I love it because it's old school. Like, I'm old enough to remember when you actually got real prizes. Now you get an effing sticker. It's like it's so classically funny, and you're somebody who certainly loves to laugh, and you do a lot of humor in your show, even though you're talking about some serious stuff. I just love that little clip. It's the essence.
Was that on comedians getting coffee in cars?
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld.
With
If
that
you didn't
lovely
recognize it was
coffee
Jerry,
house music in the background?
Yeah, it's Jerry Seinfeld.
It's a great show.
It's a great show. Jerry Seinfeld, we didn't use his part because it goes on a little bit, but I just Googled it and I saw this, and I love Jimmy Fallon because he's great at what he does. I just thought it was so funny. Just sort of a slice of life.
You love this so much.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that cool?
It is cool. You want to know a fun story? So when we lived in LA, my dad was for 2 or 3 years, was the head coach for Brentwood High School basketball, which Brentwood, like Harvard Westlake, two of the big private schools that a lot of celebrities send their kids to, including Jack Nicholson.
Really?
And so his son was too young to ever try out for basketball for the team. So I don't think my dad ever coached him, but I think he saw him at some of the younger kid games every once in a while.
Did he sound like his dad, or was he too young to sound
I
like his dad?
I don't remember. But
I mean, there's so many people who do Jack Nicholson. It's apparently
I'm sure Jack Nicholson showed up at his games with the same energy that he does at the Laker games.
Yeah, he's like bearded now. He's not the cool.
What is he, 80?
He's got to be 80 plus, but he's not the cool Jack Nicholson of 10 years ago or before that, certainly.
You know who's still cool? Dick Van Dyke.
That guy is amazing. I saw the dance. You see the dance?
The one with Coldplay.
Yes.
That I don't know when they released that over the last couple of weeks, but that video, I just made me cry just watching it. The fact that he can still move like that at 100 is unreal.
Yeah, if I could get that version of 100, sign me up. I don't want the other version of 100 where you're just staring up at the top of your room in your care facility.
The Jimmy Carter 100?
Yeah. God bless Jimmy Carter. All right. Kristen Bry, our new podcast debuts next week. We're going to be working on a lot of the pre-production stuff today. I'm so excited. Politics, culture, we'll throw some humor in there as well, which is what we always do. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be able to do this with you.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be fun. And to the texters who have asked where you can find it, WTMJ.com. We'll promote the heck out of it, or wherever you get your podcast.
Yep.
We'll promote it. You'll find it. We'll make it so easy for you to listen to Kristen and I talk about all things that we find interesting, and hopefully you will too. So
absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Kristen Bry, spanning the state, 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll take a break here for news. The one, the only Jeff Sherman, the upswing after that.
By now you've probably figured out what's most important to us at Semper Fi is our reputation. Building a great character-driven remodeling